Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to see the topic on SQL injection. So, what is SQL injection? So, the injection that attacks that happens when untrusted data is sent to a code interpreter that has a form input or some other data submission to a web application. For example, if suppose there is an attacker, he could enter the SQL database code into the form that expects a plain text username. So there is no username, just entering into it. The attacker can able to, that is actually called as the SQL injection without giving the database. If it is empty also, you can able to get inside. So that is actually called as the SQL injection. So the injection that attacks happens when untrusted data is sent to a code which has an interrupter through a form of input or some other data is called as the ability of the other data submission. So if that form input is not properly secured, then result the cause that would result the cause of the SQL code and it is executed. So that is known as the SQL injection attack. So we know that what is a vulnerability. Vulnerability is actually it is actually called as a flaw or a weak system where the attackers will be easily attacking the system. So vulnerabilities in authentication, that is when you're going to log in any website, so that system can give some attackers that he can access to user accounts, and even he can able to uh, compromise the entire system using the admin account. So for example, an attacker can take a list containing thousands of known, okay, there are lots of thousands of username and password combinations. It is obtained during a data breach and use a script to try all those combinations on a login system. So we have to see if there is any other work, or if there are any of work is available or data breach is there. All those things comes under the broken authentication. So there are some strategies to do these authentication vulnerabilities. If we need to have two-factor authentication, that is 2FA. So that the logging attempts, when you try to log in, the attacker is trying to log in, can be used with the rate limiting. So this is how the broken authentication takes place. So when it comes to the cross-site scripting, that is the cross-site scripting vulnerabilities is there. Before we saw authentication vulnerabilities. Now we are going to see the cross-site scripting vulnerabilities. This will occur when web applications will allow the users to add the custom code into a URL path, or it will have a website that will be seen by the other users. Okay, so that other users will try to click it, and that is a one kind of attack. So this vulnerability will be exploited to run the JavaScript code on a victim's browser, so that they can able to find out what you are using. For example, if suppose there is an attacker, he could send a mail to a victim that appears to be from a trusted bank. So what we will do is the user will definitely click on that. Okay, so if it is coming from a trusted bank, so definitely we are going to see what's going to happen. So with the link of that bank's website, this link could have some JavaScript code tagged on to the end of the URL. So this is also one kind of attacker. So this mitigation strategies from the cross-site scripting, including escaping the untrusted HTTP request, as well as it is validating or sanitizing the user-generated content. So we use the modern web development frameworks like React.js, Ruby. All these things are also provided in some built-in cross-site functions. Next, sensitive data exposure. So if we have some web applications, those which cannot be able to protect the sensitive data, like financial informations and passwords. So the attackers will can able to gain some access to the data. So what they will do is they will utilize these purpose and they will take all the data and find it out. So one popular method for stealing the sensitive information is the on path attack. So what will happen is the data will exposure the risk and can be minimized by encrypting it. When we encrypt those data, definitely it is some possibility that they cannot able to find out. So that is one risk minimization can be occurred by encrypting all the sensitive data as well as disabling the caching. So this is a kind of a sensitive information. So additionally what we can do is the web application developers should take care to ensure that they are not unnecessarily storing any sensitive data. So the sketching is also done by practice, and it also is a temporarily storing data. It is done for the reuse. That is, for example, when the web browsers will often has some web pages, so that what will happen, the user will revisit those web pages within a fixed time span. So the browser does not have to fetch the pages from the web. So these kind of things also can be done to minimize the risk that happens because of the attackers. So next is XML external entities. Okay, so that is XEE. This is an attack against a web application that phrases the XML. So whenever we are giving an XML input, at that time, how the attack takes place with the attacker is called as the XML external entities. So this input can reference an external entity by attempting to exploit vulnerability in the phraser. That is, when you have a context and it refers to a storage unit like a hard drive and also an XML parser. So all these things can be done with the help of a JavaScript. Next is the broken access control. So when you come to the broken access control, so the access control refers to a system that controls the access to information or functionality. So when a broken access controls the attackers, it bypass the authorization and perform the task. So when you are performing the task as though they are privileged users, such as the administrators. So for example, a web application could allow a user to change which account they are logged in as simply by changing the part of a URL. So without any other verification, it is just changing it. This is actually called as the broken access control. So the access control can be secured by ensuring that a web application uses authorization tokens so that we can set tight controls on them. So there will be chances of attackers. There will be minimal of attackers can be reduced. Next is the security misconfiguration. The security misconfiguration is the most common vulnerability on the list. So it is a very weak, it's a common thing that happens, and it has a result of using the default configuration mm, for displaying the excessively verbose errors. For instance, if suppose you are having an application, it could shower a user and also an overly descriptive errors are there. This which we can able to reveal the flaws in the application. So what will happen is it will be removed by the unused features. So by ensuring that error messages are more in general. So next is by using the components with the known vulnerabilities. So we can also use some components with some known. This is very known vulnerability which can be found easily. So these thing can be done with some components. So in this modern web developers, they use some components such as libraries, frameworks in their web applications. So when these components are the pieces of software that developers avoid the redundant work, they provide some common example include the front end frameworks like React and smaller libraries. So there are also some insufficient logging and monitoring is also available, where the breach time that is around 200 days will happen. So that what will happen is the attackers will get a lot of time to cause the damage before there is any response. So we should have a regular use of it. So OWASP, this recommends that the web developers should implement the logging and monitoring, as well as the incident response plans to make that aware of that attackers or attacking our system. So this is how the logging and the monitoring and the how the web applications get attacked in by the attacker is done. Thank you.